welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how I do my loose natural curls. I've been meaning to do this video for a really long time, so I'm really glad I'm finally doing this. I've been getting a lot of questions on my Instagram stories about how I do my hair and how long my curls last and what products I use and things like that. So today I'm going to share all of that with you guys. Stick around till the end of the video as well, because I'm going to share my top 4 tips to making your curls look more fluffy, more voluminous, and also tips on making your curls last longer. So today I'm going to be using GHD straightener and GHD curler. These two I've had for a very long time and they're trusted tools. I'm going to use a curling iron for my curls today. I like a curling iron over a wand because it can give you different kinds of curls. Usually curling iron is used for like spiral curls, ringlets and things like that. But today we're going to go for loose natural curls. So I'm going to use a curling iron as a curling wand, which is what I'm going to show you next. So the first thing I do is I make sure my hair is completely dry. Today I used a blow dryer. When I have heaps of time, I usually don't use a blow dryer. I try to air dry it. So if I have an event in the evening, I'll make sure I wash my hair in the morning so it has heaps of time to dry. So by the time I'm ready to do my hair, it's completely dry. And if there's a little bit of moisture, I'll then just blow dry it for like a minute or 30 seconds or something like that. I always find that curling wands and curling irons are a little bit more damaging than straighteners, because with straighteners you're just doing this motion really quickly, whereas with curling wand or a curling iron, you're curling your hair and you're letting it sit there for a while, so there is more time and heat and it does cause more damage. Make sure your hair is completely dry before you start this process. Once my hair is blow dried, I make sure that my ends are not looking too ratty and too dry. Today they are a little bit dry, so I'm going to use this treatment oil I've been using for many years now. It's Kevin Murphy treatment oil. But with treatment oils, you've got to try different kinds that suit your hair type. Mine is naturally wavy. It's very fine. And I find that this treatment oil is very lightweight. And when I put it on, it doesn't feel oily at all. It just adds a little bit of shine and a little bit of smoothness to the hair. So usually I just use 1 pump, like that. And I'll just go and use it only in my ends. I don't put it on the top because then I lose the bounce and the volume. So it's usually just in the ends of my hair. So once that's done, the next step for me is to straighten my fringes. What I do with my straightener, and this is something I've been doing for a very long time, is I turn it on and I don't use it straight away in my hair, because I find the heat too much and I find that it flattens your fringes a lot and it gives you a really flat look in the front, which might work really well if you want a straightened hair look. But if you're trying to curl your hair, I find that a little bit of bounce and a little bit of natural lift is really good. So I don't use the straightener straight away. I turn it on, I let it heat, and then I turn it off. I let it sit for 5 to 6 seconds because then the heat's sort of reduced, and then I use it in my hair. Of course, if you have a hair straightener that has different temperatures, you can use it in low setting as well. I always use it in the high temperature most of the times, except for when I'm curling my hair. I'll turn it on and turn it off for a few seconds. So it's been about 5 to 10 seconds now and it's ready to be used in the front of my hair. So for the fringes, I'm going to do the front bit first. So what I do is I literally pull out a little bit of my hair, like that. Take a little bit more. So basically all the hair that sits right on the front of your forehead. And I take it like that. And I literally go over the front hair. And as you can see, they're a bit more straightened. They weren't like this before. I had those little flyaways and I had those little curls and things like that, which is much better now. Once I've done the front bit, I'll take the side of my hair and do the same. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side as well. So my front is all done and it's going to look a lot better in the end. It's not going to have all these little flyaways and all these little random hair in different shapes and curls. The next step for me is to sort of section my hair. When I want really tight curls, I try to do as many sections as possible. So the first one is I will do the bottom half. So I'll curl this end first while this is tied up. Then I'll take the second half. I'll tie this part up and I'll do the second layer. And once that's done, I'll do the top layer. Sometimes if I have more time, I'll do 4 layers. The more layers you do, the more sections you do to curl your hair, the more curls you get, and it gives you a lot of volume and it looks really good. If I'm in a hurry, if I'm going to work or if I don't have a whole heap of time, then I'll just do 2 sections. I'll just take this half and this half as 2 sections. And when I'm curling, I'll just section them again. I'll do 1 curl with this, 1 curl with that, and the third one. Same with this side. And this saves me a lot of time. Usually that with 2 sections of curling takes me about 10 minutes. But if I'm doing 4 layers or 3 sections, takes me a lot longer. Today I'm going to do the 4 sections because I want to show you guys what it looks like when I do more sections and when I have more curls. I'm going to take most of my hair, all of this hair, I'm going to tie it up in the top. This bottom section is a section I'm going to start curling first. From that section, I'm going to take a smaller section, so something like this, and give it a brush. And then I'll hold my wand, my iron like this. And then I just turn it around. And once I've got it in my iron, I hold it for maybe a couple of seconds and then release. And then I hold it in my hand for like another couple of seconds before I let it down. And so that's the curl. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to do the same thing in this section. Hold it the other way this time. Hold it for a couple of seconds. Let it go, hold it in my hand for a couple of seconds. Because when you hold it in your hand like this, and the reason I do this, I must explain, is because there's already heat in the hair. And when you hold it together, it just helps the hair hold its shape longer. And I always find that this little trick always helps. And I let it down. And let it go. So those curls are looking really nice. I'm just going to let them sit. I'm not going to touch them. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to now start on the second section. So I'll let all of my hair down. I'm going to clip this top section. Once that's clipped, I'm going to start curling the second section. So the second section is done. I'm going to do the top layer or top section. I'm going to split this again into 2 halves. So I've pinned up the top layer. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to do the third layer now. So I've done all 3 sections and the top layer is the last one left. I always feel like this is the most important layer because this is a layer that sort of frames your face and this is the one that you see first. So how you curl this and paying a little bit more attention to how it falls while you're curling, I find that really important. I've let my top layer loose and I'm going to partition my hair. So if you do center partition, make sure you do that now before you curl. So when you curl, the curl sort of falls the right way. I usually go for a partial side partition or a full side partition. So today I'm just going to do So this is a partition I'm going to go with. Give it a quick brush, and because this is your face framing piece, how you curl this is going to be really different on different days. And what I mean by that is, if you want your curls to start at the bottom, then you would place your curling wand a little bit lower. If you want the curl to start from the top, you want it to really like sort of start right here, then you would place your curling wand a little bit higher. Today I'm going to do what I generally do, which is I'm not going to go too high, I'm not going to go too low. So what I do is the same way I hold my curling iron. I put it in between my hair. So I put my hair in between the curling iron. And so somewhere in the midpoint, that's where I start. Oops, slightly burned my finger over there, but let's start again. So you see how I haven't started too close to my roots because I don't want my curl to start right there. I want it to start flow a little bit lower so it looks a little bit more natural. So that's done. So this is the hair that's left undone. I'm going to section them into 2 halves. And do the same. I'm not going to start too close to my roots and not too low either. The interesting thing about curls that sort of sit right in the front, they get looser by the day, so they fall a little bit. So it looks a bit tight now. It looks a bit higher now. But in some time you will see, or when I brush it a little bit, when I put my fingers through it, you will see it falls a little bit and look a little bit more natural. So that's all done. I've done all of the curls in all of the different sections. I'm not going to brush it now because the sooner you brush your curls, the sooner they fall, the sooner they lose their shape. So I'm going to let them sit for a bit, and a few minutes later I'm going to brush them through. I'm going to use a little bit of the brush, but mostly I use my fingers through to sort of loosen them up a little bit so they don't look so tight, and then we'll see the final result. So it's been a good few minutes since I've done my curls. I usually do my hair first and then put some makeup on so the curls really have some time to sit by themselves without me fiddling with them. It's been about that long now and I'm ready to loosen it up. To do this, what I do is I don't use a brush, I just use my fingers and I'm just going to go over my curls like this. So that side's done, it's looking nice already. I'm going to do the same this side. As you can see, the curls are looking a lot more loose, a lot more natural than they did before. And I did not use a brush for this. I will only use a brush generally for the top of my hair to give this part a little bit more fluff, a little bit more volume, which I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to slightly, very softly give this part a brush. And whenever I do that, I always find that it adds a little bit more volume on top. The last step for me in this process is using a hairspray. The kind of hairspray you use makes a big difference to how your curls will sit. Sometimes if you use most times I find that when you use hairsprays with really strong hold, it makes your hair really stiff and it makes your hair just stay that way. Like when there's movement, it doesn't naturally move and things like that. So I always try to find a spray that's sort of medium hold. It's not too light, it's not too strong. So it's holding your curls in place, but it's not holding your whole hair. What am I trying to say? Whole hairstyle in one place. This is something I've been using for a while. I'll tag this product. It's just L'Oreal Flexible Hold. It's a trusted product I've been using for a long time. My hair is naturally wavy, naturally curly, so I don't need to use a whole lot of hairspray because my hair is meant to hold curls because it's naturally that way. So I'm just going to use 1 or 2 pumps of this and go around the hair. If you have really silky hair, if you have really smooth hair and naturally straight hair, then you might want to use a lot more hairspray than I'm doing right now. And also if you have fine hair like I do, just make sure the hairspray you're using is not too heavy and it's not weighing your hair down. So that's all I'll do. I'm not going to touch it anymore. These are my loose curls. I hope you're liking it as much as I like it. And this is something I do every day. I usually curl my hair once or twice a week and it stays that way for the rest of the week. Stick around for some tips on how to make your curls last longer, how to make them bouncy, and how to add more volume to your hair. I'm going to share some tips next. So the first tip for me, and the most important tip, is how you blow dry your hair. It's like setting the right blank canvas. And to get that extra volume and get that extra fluff and the lift on top of your head, I always find that blow drying your hair upside down is the best way to go. So instead of blow drying this way, where you're pointing the blow dryer down, you put your hair down and you blow dry it the other way around. When you do that, you're actually lifting up your roots, and when you dry it, you will see a huge difference with how your hair is looking in the end. When you blow dry it in the downward motion, you will see your hair is a lot flatter. When you blow dry it upside down, you will see your hair is a lot more fluffier and more voluminous on top. I always do that before I start curling my hair. If I'm using a blow dryer, I'll always do it upside down. And I always find that I have so much more volume on top. My second tip for getting the right kind of curls is using the right heat protector. So I use this Kerastase protector. So I did that just before blow dried my hair. And I use a couple of pumps of this and I go all over. What I find with heat protectors is, of course, they're very important because they protect your hair. So always make sure you're using a heat protector before you start using any heating tools. Some heat protectors, especially ones that are like sprays, I find that they make your hair really stiff, make your hair really starchy. So then when you curl your hair, I feel like they look a bit messy or they look a bit robotic. They don't have a lot of movement. Whereas this one I've been using for a while, it's lightweight, it adds only a little bit of shine, but pretty much I don't feel like it's even on there sometimes. So I'll find the right heat protector and always use just before you start curling your hair. That way you're protecting your hair, but also you're not getting a lot of loose ends at the bottom. Sorry, dry ends at the bottom. The third tip for me in terms of how to make your curls last longer is in this video today, I told you guys about how I let my hair sit for a few minutes before I started running my fingers through them. If I'm going out and if I've got the time, and if I'm driving somewhere, for example, I'll do my curls and I don't touch them until I get off my car. Literally because the longer the curls sit after you curl them, I find that they have a stronger hold. They sort of last longer. That's because there's already heat in them and you're just letting them sit in that shape for a while before you play and fiddle around with them. The more you fiddle around with the curls, the more you lose them anyway. So I find that the longer you let them sit before you brush them out or before you use your fingers, the better hold they have and the better shape they hold. The last tip and the final tip for me is people always ask, how long does your hair hold its curls and how often do you do your hair? I have to honestly tell you, I don't think anyone can curl their hair and wake up the next day and have the exact same curls they did from the night before. And that's because when you sleep, there's a lot of movement. You're sleeping on your pillow, you're moving around a lot. So you will lose some curls. They're not going to look perfect like they did when you first did them. But there are ways you can make them last a little bit longer. One of the main ways is how you sleep with them. Paying attention to how you sleep with them is really important. So whenever I curl my hair and I want them to last longer, I usually sleep with a scrunchie on. So what I do is I put all of my hair up in a bun, in a loose bun, and I use a big silk fluffy scrunchie. I got this on Amazon, and I'll just put this around my bun. and I'll sleep with the scrunchie on my hair. That way all of my curls are up together and they're not getting a lot of, I guess, rubbing against the pillow and things like that. At least I'm reducing it as much as I can. And when I wake up the next day and when I remove the scrunchie, I always find that they're a little bit, there are curls in there. I haven't completely lost them. So get yourself a couple of these from Amazon or wherever and make sure you're not just letting them loose while you're sleeping. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you found these tips helpful. If you have tips of your own, drop them in the comment box. If you have any questions for me, drop them as well. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And if you found this video helpful, then hit the subscribe button.